Have you ever noticed that the least competent people are often the most confident? And that instead, those who are truly prepared tend to question every word they say. Take a stroll on Facebook or under viral TikTok videos. You'll find people ready to explain how to cure complex diseases, solve climate change, or debunk scientific theories, all with the confidence of a Nobel Prize winner. They make these claims with the same certainty a scientist would use to say that 2 + 2 = 4. Then maybe you find out these people didn't even finish compulsory school, yet they still expect to teach quantum physics to someone who's worked in it for 20 years. On the other hand, there are scholars, professionals, real scientists, who, when they speak, use phrases like, "I could be wrong, but..." Obviously, we need to consider many variables. My opinion isn't definitive. We need more data. If you've ever thought, maybe I'm not good enough, or felt stunned listening to someone who's convinced they know everything, stay with me, because today we're talking about 2 psychological effects that will make you see everything in a new light: the Dunning-Kruger effect and imposter syndrome. 2 opposite phenomena that can still coexist in the same person. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand why it happens, you'll also discover how to use them to your advantage to truly grow. Let's start with a story. Luke has just graduated in economics with top marks. During his thesis defense, he received compliments from the committee, and now he feels ready to conquer the world. "Forget being a junior," he tells his friends. "I'm aiming straight for management." He starts sending out resumes with huge expectations. When he finally lands an internship at a multinational company, he accepts with a certain disdain, convinced that within a month he'll be promoted. But by the first week, he panics. They ask him to do a financial statement analysis, and he doesn't even know where to begin. He tries to improvise to look confident, but his supervisor corrects him multiple times, pointing out obvious gaps. Luke goes home confused. How is this possible? At university, I was a prodigy. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's the tendency for people with low competence to overestimate their abilities. In 1999, psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger demonstrated it through a series of experiments. Those who know little tend to believe they know a lot. Why? Because they don't have enough knowledge to realize what they don't know. It's ignorance itself that creates an illusion of competence. Picture a graph. X-axis, competence. Y-axis, confidence. At the beginning, as soon as you learn something, you feel like a genius. That's the peak of arrogance. Then, as you discover how complex things really are, confidence collapses. That's the valley of despair. Only with time and real experience does confidence rise again. But this time, it's realistic and humble. Now let's change perspective. Jennifer has worked at a travel agency for 8 years. She's good, organized, loved by clients. Her boss nominates her for an award. She smiles, thanks him. But inside she thinks, "I don't deserve it. I've just been lucky." Even after many successes, Jennifer feels out of place. She's afraid that sooner or later they'll discover she isn't as competent as they think. This is imposter syndrome, the opposite of the Dunning-Kruger effect. The term was coined in 1978 by 2 psychologists, Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes. It especially affects people who've reached important milestones: brilliant students, women in leadership roles, artists, professionals at a high level. The problem? They attribute their success to external factors, luck, connections, coincidences, never to their own effort or talent. They live with the anxiety of being exposed. And here comes the paradox. You can experience both effects in the same life, even in the same week. One day, you feel like an absolute expert on some minor topic. The next day, you feel inadequate at your job, the one you've had years of experience in. It's the context that changes, the expectations, and above all, our self-esteem, which isn't a straight line, It's a seesaw. But there's good news, you can improve. How to overcome the Dunning-Kruger effect. First of all, cultivate intellectual humility. Admitting you don't know is the first step toward real knowledge. Seek honest feedback, not from people who praise you no matter what, but from people who correct you respectfully, and who have real credentials and results that truly make them experts in that field. Study deeply. Going deeper will show you how complex every field is. This reduces false confidence. Observe who is truly expert. You'll notice real experts are cautious, ask questions, and speak less. How to deal with imposter syndrome. Track your successes, write down results you achieve, even small ones. Reread them in moments of doubt. Talk about it. You'll discover that many people you admire feel exactly like you do. Stop comparing yourself to others. Everyone has their own path with different timing and difficulties. Accept that perfection isn't required. Being competent doesn't mean knowing everything. It means knowing how to face problems when they arise. So if you doubt yourself, you're in good company. And you're probably more prepared than you think. If instead you always feel like the smartest person in the room, maybe it's time to stop for a moment and reflect. Learning your limits is a form of intelligence. And remember, it's not the person who shouts the loudest who's right, but the one who has the courage to say, "I don't know, but I want to understand." And you? Have you ever felt too confident in a field you barely know? Or, on the contrary, have you achieved big results, but still felt like an imposter? Write it in the comments. Tell us your experience. If you liked this video, I also recommend watching 20 Types of Stupid People You'll Find on Social Media. See you next time, and remember, true knowledge begins with doubt. And about that, I'm sure.